So hello, good afternoon everyone. So for today, we will discussing about the language policy. What is it and what it can do, lesson 4. But before that, let me introduce myself first. I am Jessel Jane Ramirez and I am the first reporter. But before that, allow me to read the learning goals first. So here at the end of the lesson, you should be able to define language policy and understand and apply Spolsky 2004 model of language policy to real life language situation. So here, as you can see, we have three pictures that are some public signs that you will see in Metro Manila. But not only in Manila, but also in the local places. So that is the BPI, the McDonald's, and the Jollibee. We can see here that this is some of public signs, no, na we can see in every places. Okay. So, what do these signs tell you about the language choice? Okay, if we say language choice, no, it is your preferred language choice that you are going to utter or you're going to speak, diba? So here, what do this um, what do these signs tell you about the language choice? English is the primary language used on public signs from Metro Manila, establishments like McDonald's and Jollibee, demonstrating the significant influence of international branding and communication. Since English is frequently regarded as a universal language that most people can understand, many businesses hope to bring in different types of customers. So, number 2, do you think such public discourse is aligned with our language policies? Why or why not? So, since English is one of the official languages of the Philippines, its use in public discourse is somewhat in line with its language policies, particularly in the fields of business, law, and education. The Constitution permits and even encourages the use of English. So, according to their perspective, no, this signage do not violate any laws or government directives. Promoting Filipino as the national language is another goal of the Philippines language strategy. This includes using it to promote unity, cultural pride, and national identity in the public areas. So, number 3, in your area, how do your public signs look like? Is it aligned with our languages policies and your local beliefs? So here, the majority of public signs in my area, which consists of both residential and commercial areas, are written in English. This consists of stores and restaurants in order to appear professional or to reach a wider audience. So English is frequently utilized. And Filipino is used on some signs, particularly those that serve as community reminders or notices pertaining to the government. So this shows a pattern similar to Metro Manila. English is preferred in business settings whereas Filipino is utilized in more formal or public services settings. So here, analyze. According to Spolsky 2004, for him, no, para kay Spolsky, the language policy daw for him is defines as the combination of how a community use language, what they believe about languages, and the decision made to influence language use. Crucially, he argues that all language policy are attempts to manipulate linguistic behavior for reasons that may be over or hidden. It's not just about rules, but the complex interaction of these three are elements. For so next slide. For Spolsky 2004, no, he have a model of language policy that he created, and these are the language practices, language belief, and language management. So first, what is this language practices? But before that, Spolsky or Bernard Spolsky is the one of the most influential scholars on language policy, and that is Dr. Bernard Spolsky. So again, according to Spolsky, language policy has three interrelated but interdependent components: language, and that is language practices, language beliefs, and language management. So now let's start. So here, what is language practices? So if we say language practices, it is refer to the observable ways people use language in real life. It's not about rules or ideas, but about the actual choices people make. This includes which language or dialect they speak, how formal or informal their language is, and the specific words and grammatical structures. No, if that is the language practices, that includes the choice of linguistic feature and of the language variety. The next one is the language beliefs. So in language beliefs are started attitude and value from the word belief. A community holds about different languages and language varieties. This belief influence how people view and use those languages, impacting their choices and various social contexts. Later, we will discuss the example of the language practices and language beliefs. So now, let us know what are these language beliefs and language practices. So the third one is the language management. So here, language management is the deliberate attempt by those with authority to influence how a community use and view its language. This can involve promoting or suppressing specific language or dialect, impacting how people speak and think about language. So that's all of my part. So I'm giving the virtual floor to the next reporter, and she's going to discuss what is the example of this three model of language policy by Spolsky 2004. So that's all, everyone. Thank you.
So, good evening, everyone. I am Joan Kawan, and for the continuation of our report, I will be discussing the examples of the three components of language policy, namely the language management, language belief, and language practices. So, first, let's talk about the language management that it's given example. So first is the Roman Catholic Church change its policy of requiring Latin for Mass. With that, allow me to read the slides. It is language management because it involved a structured policy change aimed at controlling how language was used in a significant cultural and religious context. Through this decision, the Church embraced the idea that language plays a central role in shaping religious practices. So, language management refers to the deliberate efforts to influence or control the language practices of a group, organizations, or institution. In this case, the Roman Catholic Church decision to change its policy on requiring Latin for Mass is an example of language management because it involves a structured policy change aimed at controlling how language is used in a significant cultural and religious context. So, by managing the policy, the church is exercising control over the language used in its religious practices, allowing the use of vernacular languages instead of Latin. And this decision reflects and this decision reflects the church recognitions of the importance of language in shaping religious experiences and practices. So, in this example, the church of language management decision has implications for the way people experience and engage with their faith, highlighting the complex relationship between language, culture, and religion. Secondly, is the immigrant parents persuade their children to learn the new language. So I will not read the slides anymore, but this time I want you to listen to my explanations. So, language management in this context or example refers to the intentional efforts made by the immigrant parents to influence their children language acquisitions and use. By encouraging their children to learn a new language, these parents are making a strategic decision to manage their children's linguistic development. And these examples illustrate how language management can be a personal and family level decision driven by the desire to succeed and thrive in a new environment. Next example is the immigrant parents persuade their children to use their mother tongue at home. So, this is another example of language management where immigrant parents intentionally regulate language used within their family context. So, in this case, the parents are managing language used by encouraging mother tongue use. They persuade their children to use their native language at home and also regulating language choice by promoting the use of their mother tongue. Parents are influencing their children's language choice and habit. Also, maintaining cultural heritage. By encouraging the use of their mother tongue, parents are also preserving their cultural heritage and passing it down to their children. So, the goal of this language management strategy may include preserving cultural identity. Secondly, promoting family bonding. And third, supporting language development. So, by managing language use in this way, immigrant parents can help their children maintain a strong sense of cultural identity, develop a sense of belonging to their family and to their community, acquire language skills that can benefit them in various contexts. So, next example is the ongoing debate if Filipino should be the national language of the Philippines, and that's under language belief. So, in this example, language belief, which refers to the attitudes, values, and opinions people hold about language and its role in the society. So, in this case, the debate about the Filipino as the national language reflects a different language belief, including national identity. So, some people may believe that a single national language is essential for forging a unified national identity. Also, cultural diversity. Others will argue that promoting multiple languages can help preserve cultural diversity and promote inclusivity. Lastly, social cohesion. Some may believe that a common language can foster social cohesion and facilitate communication among its citizens. So, these language beliefs are shaped by various factors such as cultural background. People's cultural backgrounds and experiences influence their attitudes towards a language. Historical context. The country's history and colonial past may have shaped language policies and attitudes. Third, social and economic factor. Economic and social interests can also influence language belief and policies. So the ongoing debate about Filipino as the national language highlights the complexities of language policy and the diverse perspective and language and identity here in the Philippines. Lastly, language practices. The use of your mother tongue in your daily conversations as much as possible because you believe that it is the most appropriate language to use in your present environment. So, this is an example of language practices where a person habitually uses their mother tongue in daily conversations. This, this practice reflects their language preference, identity, and communication strategy. By using their mother tongue, they maintain a cultural heritage, communicate effectively, and express themselves authentically. So that's the end of my report.
Abstract. Key terms. As a group, identify 10 key terms, preferably new terms that you encountered in reading the article. Write a brief definition for each term based on how you understood it. Speech community. A group of people who talk with each other and share ideas about what kind of language is okay to use in their group. It means a group of people who interact regularly and share agreed upon norms about how language should be used, like slang, dialects, or formal rules. Example, members of a professional guild like doctors, lawyers, who use specialized jargon that outsiders might not understand. Internal forces. It is a type of influence that comes from within a specific domain like the home, school, or workplace, including language practices, beliefs, and shape how people choose and use language in that specific setting. It means pressures within a specific social group or domain like family, workplace that shape language, chooses such as cultural traditions, peer expectations, or institutional guidelines. Example, a workplace where employees code switch to formal language during meetings but use casual slang in break rooms. Home language ecology. This refers to how languages are used, maintained, or changed within the family setting. It includes the mix of languages spoken at home and how family members influence each other's language habits, especially across generations. Definition: the interplay of languages spoken within a household, including how they are maintained, shifted, or lost across generations due to family dynamics. Example, a multilingual home where grandparents speak Tagalog, parents mix Tagalog and English, and children primarily use English. Supranational organizations, a large international groups of institutions like the European Union or the United Nations that can influence language policies across multiple countries, not just within one nation. It means international bodies that create policies influencing language use and education across multiple nations. For example, the African Union promoting Swahili as a lingua franca for cross-border communication in East Africa. Homeschool language gap. This refers to the communication gap that occurs when language spoken by teachers is different from language of the students use at home and makes it hard for some students to understand lessons and participate in school effectively. It means a mismatch between the languages used in education and a student's home language, creating barriers to academic success. Example, indigenous students in Mexico struggling in Spanish-only classrooms when their first language is Mixtec. Language instructional policy. This is the official decision or guideline that schools follow about which languages should be used for teaching and learning. It's influenced by teachers, school leaders, parents, and even governments or religious groups. The definition is Formal rules dictating which languages are used for teaching, often shaped by political, cultural, or economic agendas. Example: Singapore's bilingual policy requiring English as the medium of instruction alongside Mandarin, Malay, or Tamil. Transitional programs. It is a type of educational program that starts by teaching students in their home language and gradually switches to a second language to the student's official national language. It means educational models that use as a student's native language temporarily to ease transition into a dominant language. Example: a Navajo English program in Arizona schools where lessons begin in Navajo and gradually shift to English. Language cultivation. This refers to the process of developing and modifying a language, especially when it is used as a medium of instruction. It involves activities like creating a writing system, adding new vocabulary, and standardizing a grammar to make the language suitable for education. It means deliberate efforts to modernize a language for formal use like education, media, through standardization and expansion. Example: Hebrew's revival in Israel, including creating new vocabulary for the technology and science. Status planning. This refers to efforts to change the societal prestige or social function of a language, often by promoting it in official settings, education, or media. It means efforts to elevate a language's social standing, often by granting it official recognition or promoting its use in prestigious domains. For example, Kenya making Swahili a co-official language alongside English to strengthen national identity. External forces refers to outside influences that affect language use within a domain. When someone brings language habits from another domain, like using work language at home, or when higher authorities like schools or governments try to change how people speak in everyday life. Definition: outside influences that disrupt language practices in a domain, such as government policies or global cultural trends. Example: a family adopting English phrases at home after children learn them through social media or international TV shows. Insights. Discuss and write down your group's insights about language policy after reading the article. List at least 3 significant insights. Number 1. According to some linguists, the language policy refers to all language practice, beliefs, and management decisions of a community. It has 3 interrelated but independent components. Language practices, ecology, in which these are the observable behaviors and choice of what people do, which include the choice of linguistic features and the language variety of language and a practice of working the language. Language beliefs, ideology, is how language works or whatever their beliefs are, and the things that should be used in a place that will be the language they will use. It plays a role in shaping and influencing linguistic structure and speech form. The article mentions that students come to school with established language abilities and values based on their family and community. It also discusses the gap that may exist when the language spoken at home is different from the language of the instruction in school. So, language policy is multidimensional. It involves practices like how people use language, the beliefs, attitudes towards languages, and managements like official policies. The effective policies must address all three, like promoting indigenous languages in schools, required not only policy changes but also community support and linguistic development. The concept of language cultivation or language development appears when the article mentions how language planning must not only focus on managing speakers' status planning, but also on modifying the language itself. Corpus planning or language cultivation ensures it can function effectively in education. The article uses example of the Navajo and Maori education system where language cultivation was necessary to create terminology for academic subjects. It means homeschool language mismatch creates barriers when language of instruction differs from students' home language. It can hinder learning and cultural identity. The solutions include bilingual education, teacher training, and community involvement to bridge the gap. 3. The article discussed the importance of language policies to individuals, and also it must be carefully considered to balance and ensure they do not favor one aspect over the other to harm the learner's future. To sum it up, language cultivation is essential for equity. Simply recognizing a language like status planning is not enough. Like corpus planning, it's like developing academic vocabulary ensures its function in education. Without this policy risk being symbolic rather than practical. Apply. Topic 1. 4 layers of language policy. Number 1. Legislation and political processes. Legislation refers to the laws that a government enacts to regulate language use. These laws can affect official language status, language education, and linguistic diversity. Political processes involves how language policies are formulated and implemented, typically through interactions between political leaders, institutions, and the public. It means law governing language use, like official languages and education policies. Its impact can elevate or marginalize languages through legal frameworks. For example, Executive Order Number 335 in the Philippines at 1988 required government institutions to use Filipino for official communication. Number 2, state and supranational agencies. State refers to the national government and its authority to create and enforce language policies within its territory. Supranational agencies are international bodies like UNESCO or ASEAN that addresses language policy issues across multiple countries. These agencies often collaborate to manage language diversity and promote linguistic rights globally. It means national bodies like the Commission sa Wikang Filipino standardize and promote languages. International organizations like UNESCO and EU set global language standards. The role is to bridge national policies with international linguistic rights. For example, again, the Commission sa Wikang Filipino or KWF, created by the Philippine government, works to standardize Filipino and promote language development. 3. Institutions. Institutions form organizations such as schools, universities, churches, media, and other cultural institutions that play a role in implementing language policies as a local event. It means schools, media, and religions or organizations implemented policies locally. It functions as to translate policies into daily practice within communities. For example, schools in the Philippines implement the Mother Tongue Based Multilingual Education or MTB MLE policy to teach children their mother tongue in early grades. Classroom practitioners. Classroom practitioners, teachers, educators, and other language practitioners who directly implement language policies in their classrooms. It means teachers adapt policies to students' needs, like code switching. It challenges by balancing policy requirements with real classroom needs. The importance are final layer where policies succeed or fail in practice. For example, teachers may use code switching between Filipino and English to support students in understanding lessons. Topic 2. The four common coexisting forces of language policies at the national level based on Spokesky 2009. Number 1. National or ethnic ideology, claims of identity. How language is tied to national pride and cultural identity. Language as a tool for unity and cultural identity. For examples, promoting Filipino as a symbol of national unity, recognizing regional languages for ethnic identity. 2. The role of English as global language. Importance of English in globalization, technology, and international communication. Philippines' use of English in education, businesses, and law. It means English is used as a gateway to economic opportunities. Example, English in the primary use of instruction in science, math, and technology subjects in Philippine schools. Universities also use English to align with international research standards. 3. A nation's socio-linguistic situation. How multilingualism and language diversity affect policy making. The coexistence of Filipino, English, and regional languages in the Philippines. By managing multilingual societies like the Philippines with its 170 languages. The sociologistic reality is that it has challenges, but by creating inclusive policies for diverse language communities, it will be more easy to navigate. For example, Mindanao's MTB MLE promotes local languages but faces pushback from parents favoring English, revealing a heritage opportunity tension. Linguistic interest in linguistic rights as part of human rights. The growing movement to protect minority languages and promote inclusive language use, laws like Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act IPRA as examples of this force. By protecting minority languages as human rights. It will create a more inclusive environment for everyone. For example, the IPRA of 1997 promotes indigenous languages by weak enforcement leaves a gap between rights and reality. Topic 3. The 4 phases of language planning. How language policies are developed. 1. Selection. Choosing a language or languages for official or national use. For example, Filipino as the national language, English retained for global access. This creates challenges, but by balancing majority and minority language rights, it will work and everyone will create understanding. Number 2, codification. Standardizing grammar, spelling, and vocabulary. Example, KWF's efforts in standardizing Filipino grammar. Number 3, elaboration. Expanding the language to be used in science, law, education, etc. For example, developing Filipino terms for technical or academic concepts. Number 4, acceptance. Encouraging the public to adopt and use the standardized language through media, education, government campaigns. Example, the government promoted Filipino through media, education, and campaigns, uniting the nation despite regional resistance. Topic 4. What language policies can do vis-a-vis different domains? Education. Language of instruction, inclusion of mother tongues, promotion of bilingualism. Its purpose is to determine instruction languages and integrate mother tongues. Government and law. Official documents, legal proceedings, language access in public services. What it does is to ensure accessible public services and legal fairness. Media and communication. Promotion of national language, accessibility in regional languages. It's supposed to maintain linguistic diversity and broadcasting. Cultural preservation. Protecting endangered languages and promoting indigenous culture. It's supposed to revive endangered languages. Business and economy. Language in marketing, job qualifications, and trade. Its purpose is to balance localization with global needs. Technology and digital spaces. Localization, translation tools, inclusion in software interfaces. It's supposed to do is include digital of languages of all to the world and people. For example, so this is an example of all. The Philippines MTB-MLE policy, supported by IPRA, promotes linguistic inclusion, unity, and economic growth across various sectors. That's all. Thank you.